I'm almost as tall as he was now. Well, here I am to talk to you today about ties, both metaphorical and literal. Can you hear me? Sorry. I'm here to talk to you today about ties, both literal and metaphorical. This tie is one that has special meaning to me. My daughter earned money for years, put it away, and then when we were out shopping one day, she snuck over to a men's department and purchased this tie for me without me knowing. She gave everything she had to say, "I love you, Dad." I can't think of a father who would throw away a tie like that. A daughter who would give everything for what she felt was the best way she could contribute to what that father was doing. I think Kate Kelly will be okay with any father. Now, my grandfather left the church way back in the early 1900s, and he always said that these ties were a symbol of slavery. I decided I'd look that up, being the historical sort of minded person that I am, and it turns out there's nothing behind that whatsoever. It comes from the cravat, which was the starched piece of cloth that, say, Sir Percy Blakeney of the Scarlet Pimpernel always would make fun of his rival with. But the reason that my grandfather left the church wasn't based on inaccurate historical data. It was his own personal story. I'd like to relate that to you. And I get this from my brother, who recorded it from him just before he passed on. My brother asked, "Why did you leave the church?" He said, "Well, there was a youth activity in which the activity was to go to the black couple that were in town. They had saved up enough cash to buy a house so the banks couldn't prevent it. And it was to burn down the house. My grandfather, hearing this activity, ran home to his father, and the two of them ran as fast as they could to try to put a stop to it before it happened. They arrived too late. As he got there, as he tells the story, the house was already burning, and the black woman was outside, and she had in her lap an urn of silver dollars. And the silver dollars had melted from the heat. She had to run back in to get them. The leadership took the urn, smashed it, and gave the silver dollars to all the young men present as a memento of the occasion. My father, when asked about this occasion, said, "Yeah, I think it was a different church." To which I replied, "Then why did he leave this one?" I don't know the whole details. I haven't been able to find the actual history of the date, the time, the church, the house that was burned. But it was strong enough for him that he left. And at that time, I believe anyone who saw him leave would have said that he was not following leadership, that he didn't know what he was doing. To us, it's clear who the hero of that story is. We look at how things are today and we say, it's not right to burn a person's house down no matter their skin color, but in that day and age, he would have been going against leadership. Again, I look at the recent excommunications, I look at the recent activity, I look at people who I know who say, but how can you go against the leadership? As though that was the final defining characteristic of truth, of righteousness, and of good behavior, of morality. But I believe that each of us here today who has either resigned in the past or is resigning today will look as heroic in 50 years as my grandfather does now. To stand on the side of morality is never wrong. The last thought I want to leave you with is more of the metaphorical sort of tie. We have good statistical data that the church has about 5 million active members. They continue to report 15 million. Just think of that for a second. For every one active, there are 2 who are either inactive or who have resigned. We outnumber them. Even if you think about that as there's going to be members who are partway on the fence, there's the New Order Mormon crowd with John DeLynn, and not against all just members. Sorry, we got some silence. Clearly clearly I was saying something a little too hot to handle. So, not just Mormons versus, or non-Mormons versus active Mormons, or resigned versus active Mormons, but against leadership and all the rest of us, we outnumber them, just like in a bug's life. The grasshoppers don't have to continue to feed off of the ants. We can demand. We can demand documentation. We can demand that they're honest with their finances. We can demand it if we realize that we outnumber them. The final piece that I want to leave you with is that the difference between that system and being outside it is that there's a community there. There's a huge community, and that has strong ties. There's places for kids to go on Wednesday nights. There's people who are dedicated to making sure that they're there. There's all sorts of these sorts of things. What I want to say is this post-Mo group, the Atheists of Utah, there's a dozen groups out there, ex-Mormon singles. There are communities. Find them. Look for them. Knock on your door. One of the suggestions that I heard just recently, put out a sign that says free beer. You will know who the ex-Mormons in your neighborhood are. Or the post-Mormons, the kind of Mormons, the people that you can build a community with. Find a way to build ties, and the exodus becomes easier for everyone. And that gives leverage over those who have control and abuse that.